All right, and we are here for game 4 of Brawler Bash. Back on table 15. Boy, did I miss it. Um, so I am facing another Dwarven Holds army, one that I do not think could be any different from my army if we tried. This is a gunline force, a lot of shooting. Actually, two different Grudge Busters in it, and big killy characters. So we'll see how well I do against it. I'll be honest, they release, this is start of day 2, and they released the matchups at the end of day 1. And I went home that whole night, and I was super nervous about playing this, due in part to the last Brawlers Bash I attended, facing a Dwarven gunline on game 5, and not having any fun with it. It was a terrible experience, and really let me leave the tournament on a sour note. So I was really, really, really hoping that somehow this would not turn out into this circumstance. And I really should not have worried, because the gentleman who owns this army is Phil Carl, and he is an awesome dude. I am very glad that he was the one helming this army, because he turned what was a very nervous me into having a good time, and we'll see how the game goes. But I certainly want to thank him for a far better game than I was expecting this to be. So looking here in the back, he's got two cannons and a grudge thrower. The thing, well, it's actually a drill, though you can't see it from this way. That's his first grudge buster. In front of the two cannons is a big old unit of crossbowmen with great weapons. Then he's got a unit of Deep Watch with several characters in it, including a runesmith, a organ gun, a copter, a unit of longbeards with a runesmith in it, another organ gun, another copter, and the dragon here is also a grudge thrower. So lots of shooting, lots of flying guys, and two pretty strong combat bricks. Pretty much I set up over here. We were on the diagonal, so this is actually after or no, this might not have been on the diagonal. We might have been going straight, but this is after Vanguards in either case. I think we actually set up on the diagonal, and then somebody told us, no, that's not this game, that's next game. But at any rate, here's what it is. I've got my bolt thrower up on the hill, hoping to take out some of those flying guys before they can get to me. I've got both Vengeance Seekers and my shooters hanging out here, hoping to kind of be under the cover of the hill with the chopper. My two Vanguard units with all the characters are just going straight forward. They're actually way safer in combat than they are outside of it, so I just need to cram down his throat if I can. And sorry for the blurry picture, but you can see where everything else is laid out. At this point, I'm so used to playing on this table after 3 games out of 4. I'm considering building a summer home on this hill, so the Grudge Buster is checking it out for me. I will be referring to the two armies. My army is Vanguard, his army is Gunline, just to keep things straight since we're both dwarves. So Vanguard turn 1, I push up like crazy. Again, I just need to get into him, because if I'm not, he's going to be able to shoot me. And I push up on this side as well. Literally the only thing that didn't move was the bolt thrower. And then on Gunline turn 1, he surprised the hell out of me and decided to accept my engraved invitation to come mix it up, and charges right into the Greybeards. So already, this is better than I was expecting. So I'm super happy at this. even if it's almost a certainty that those guys are going to die a horrible death. And here is my very happy opponent showing me that even dwarves can kick my ass at Magic this tournament. Yeah, it was a huge mistake not to bring Magic Defense, but we're having a good time with it, and he is just buffing his guys left, right, and down the center, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. He starts some shooting, and it goes relatively poorly to begin with. One deep watch down, two deep watch down, one slayer down, two slayers down, three deep watch down. I feel like I'm watching one of my daughter's counting videos. And then down goes the copter. A lot of shooting, and there's not a hell of a lot I can do about it. We go into combat here. He is slaughtering dwarves left and right. I take a few out, throw a couple of wounds on the Grudge Buster, but it's not enough to make any real difference. And he breaks me, runs me down, and with the way that I had to flee, center to center, he ends up going a little sideways, which clips the iron or the deep watch, and so both of these units are into my flank now, and this is awesome. But at least now he can't keep shooting me, so I think it's a win-win. So Vanguard's turn 2, I decide if I have any way of protecting myself there, that runesmith that he left out on the corner of that unit needs to die. So I go ahead and hurl my Vengeance Seeker into him with the hopes that I can just beat him to death before anything else gets to go, and he won't have the spells on his turn, and he won't have the armor piercing as well. So that's my hope. You can see he's got my Slayers, or I charge Slayers into the Copter to go ahead and get them wasted as well. And then everything else I start moving up here. I see that other big brick of his coming, so I know that my crossbowmen are going to be much better as chaff than they are in any sort of shooting, so I'm running them up as well. And I'm heading my other dwarves for a flank attack in the event that this fight is still going on my next turn. I also bring up the Grudge Buster so it can support. And you see I head the other Vengeance Seeker towards his other Grudge Buster. Maybe I'll get lucky and he'll come mix it up and I might be able to take the thing down. And my miners show up on the table, and rather than going from the war machines, I turn the miners over here so that maybe I can get a flank charge against his deep watch unit and hold them up for a turn. Because I know I'm not going to be able to do much more than that, but that's probably going to be the best I'll manage to accomplish. So we go into combat because my shooting doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. The Slayers obviously crush face on the Gyrocopter with my character just murdering it. I do actually succeed in taking out his Runesmith, which helps us so much. And then I end up doing throwing down the Hold Stone, which gives me the two characters on the front corner there, Fire Breath into the Grudge Buster, and I kill it before because he chose to do the grinds instead of the impact hits, so I kill it before it gets to go, which is super awesome. And then the fight goes on. I lose some, he loses some. I lose the combat, but I'm stubborn and manage to stick the reform. So now the fight should be interesting. Gunline's turn 2. He tries to charge his big unit of Deep Watch into the back of my Deep Watch and fails the charge, so he gets stuck there, which is super awesome. He does... I don't know if he's charged my Vengeance Seeker with his other Grudge Buster or just moved in the way. I can't quite see from this picture. But the failure of that big unit to get in the fight actually gives me a slight glimmer of hope. Until he turns around and blows the miners off the board with combined fire from everything that's over there. And then I go ahead and breathe fire into this unit. 16 fire breath is. I may have put that on the slide too early, but yeah. Yep. Okay, so yeah, here's the combat with that. I breathe the rest of my fire breaths into this unit. Beat them, break them. I try to run them down with the Vengeance Seeker, leaving the other dwarves to turn around to get ready to deal with this train wreck that's coming on my other flank. And he fails badly. They run through the Slayers and end up getting ready to run into some dangerous terrain there through that impassable totem thing. So we go to my turn. I decide to help him with that, and the Vengeance Seeker charges them a little farther. They run through the dangerous terrain and end up losing enough guys so that the unit is down to 25%, meaning that they are rolling on half leadership to rally, and I'm okay with that. I also go ahead and charge the Slayers into this copter again, or into the next copter rather, to go ahead and take it out. Yeah, this must be the turn I charge the Grudge Buster with the Vengeance Seeker, figuring I'll hit it. If I can kill it and get lucky, I may be able to overrun into his crossbowmen that are there and at least tie them up for a minute. And then I push up hard to start chaffing up the his unit of Deep Watch, and I bring the support of the Grudge Buster around. I'm just looking for a good target for it at this point. So we go into combat. I do end up killing the Grudge Buster and get, I think I'm an inch short of hitting this unit from the look of how it's organized. Over here, I killed that chopper and overran with the Slayers to be in the middle of the forest. My next target, obviously, is the next War Machine. Gunline's turn 3. He goes ahead and accepts my offer to beat on some poor defenseless crossbowmen. And fails to rally, so his guys are running. He's within an inch or two of the board edge, which is awesome. You will also note the Bones model there in the glass. This is the second time in the tournament that I have won my opponent a door prize by getting my men into his deployment zone like top of 1. So there you go, Phil. So yeah, during his turn, he throws some magic on his unit again, buffs it, and beats the snot out of my crossbowmen, but doesn't actually kill them to a man. They run off and stop just at the point where they're going to block up my graybeards and be just incredibly annoying. So then it's Vanguard's turn 4, and I decide, you know what? This is Brawlers. I want to go fight something, and I charge right down his face. I also charge at the War Machine, thinking that I would hit that and overrun, but I end up messing up. I place my Deep Watch unit in such a way that they will stop the overrun before the Slayers get into the flank. I could have, if I had placed them just over to their left, like half a model's width, I'd be able to do it, but I got sloppy, and yeah, it was a big mistake. Everything else here starts crushing in. It's just, my crossbowmen do rally. It's just kind of annoying that they were blocking everything up, or I could have sent these other graybeards in, but now they're in the chance of getting shot off the table before that happens. You'll notice the Grudge Buster's been taking wounds because he's been trying to shoot it for the last turn or so. I do charge over here as well, figuring that the Vengeance Seeker can start hurting the crossbowmen because I forgot they have great weapons. I was thinking they just had shields. This was probably a mistake, but at least it'll keep them tied up for a minute. And so we go into combat. I kill a bunch. He does 2 wounds to the Vengeance Seeker, and I hold because I'm unbreakable. My Seekers over here kill that War Machine and overrun, having to stop here. Uh, Turns out that I would not have even made the charge had I not done anything bad, so it wasn't that big a deal, but it still kind of chafes me that I made a sloppy mistake like that. And his king shows me what a real dwarf king can do to a Thane, and beats my general to death with a hammer. Gunline turn 4 starts with his Greybeards running off the table and giving me some points. Yay! And then he shoots the Pain Train and kills it. Very sad. He also shoots some of the Slayers away. And then combat starts. I kill a few more crossbowmen, but he kills the Vengeance Seeker. And then we do some more combating. I am failing horribly to kill his Runesmith, and he is not doing a great job at beating my characters to death, but he is killing a few more of the Ironbreakers, but I'm sorry, the Deep Watch, but we're holding them up for a bit. So Vanguard turn 5, I do charge the Seekers into the flank of his Ironbreakers, or sorry, Deep Watch. I don't know why I'm messing that up so much right now. And the other units just kind of reorganize themselves here and get ready for whatever might happen next. Oh yeah, my ballista finally hits something again and does some wounds on one of his cannons. And then we go into combat, and the Slayers show up and kill a few guys. Unfortunately, I throw a challenge out hoping to try and snag his characters, and he force feeds a champion to my Slayer Lord. Gunline turn 5, he charges his crossbowman into the flank of my Slayers. And yeah, that's going to be messy. He also drops a cannon shot on my Vengeance Seeker. And then we go into a fight, and I finally kill the freaking Runesmith and do several more wounds, but his crossbowmen make up for it by slaughtering the rest of the Slayers. So that it's kind of a wash. And then Vanguard's turn 6, and I realize it doesn't matter what happens with this fight. These dwarves aren't, the Greybeards are not getting into it, so I turn around and run off to try and claim a table quarter. And I do the same thing with the crossbowman over here, so I'm running for table quarters. Ballista shoots at another target and doesn't manage to kill it. And then we do some fighting, including the death of the Slayer Lord, who, as you can see, that big pile of crossbowmen in the back, that was all killed by the Slayer Lord. The one guy who's hanging out near the forest was what was killed by the rest of my forces I have in there. I also did a single wound to his king, but I'm not doing much. By this point, my BSB is gone, and it's just bad news. So, Gunline turn 2, turn 2, what the hell am I talking about? Turn 6, I guess he reformed here because he brings, from what you can see from this picture, he does bring his crossbowman into that fight as well. So I guess that was the reform before turn 6. He does some shooting, manages to kill one of the crossbowmen, not enough to stop me from claiming that quarter. And then the combat goes, and he breaks my unit bad, actually overrunning enough to get his crossbowman into the other table quarter, which contests it, so we each had one table quarter at the end of it. So looking at the points, I ended up getting the number I needed, or I wanted again, 3865, but my gunline opponent was 7301, so another pretty significant defeat to my dwarves. But honestly, this was a lot of fun. Phil is a great guy to play with, and it's one of those things. I really don't mind getting beat, and even getting beat bad, as long as the energy is good and positive at the table, and it certainly was. We were laughing our asses off. It was just a lot of fun. Good guy. I really appreciate him coming and fighting me in hand to hand, and not just shooting me off the table as was his original battle plan. So it was just a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And it's a beautiful army to play. I know none of these pictures really did it justice, but he was actually my vote for best painted army at the tournament, because it was beautiful. It was a great. He didn't win, but I think he should have, personally. I think his work was better than the one that did win. So. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is going to lead into Game 5, and I have scored exactly enough points to remain exactly where I am. So this will be the 4th game of the tournament where I sit at table 15. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoy it. I do want to thank my patrons, Peter Voss or Vase. I'm still going to screw that up, Peter. It's Savannah's Ironwood. You guys are awesome. If anybody else would like to help contribute to my hobby and to the chance of me getting to other tournaments like this throughout the year, please check out the link below. Head to my Patreon and feel free to give if you are so inclined. As it is, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on the next one.